Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. The crazy, just enjoying doing videos, enjoying letting your authentic personality shine through, and also enjoying the other channels that you watch here on YouTube. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. You set the standard for yourself. Try not to feel like you need to use a certain brand or a certain tool or a certain technique. Use whatever you want to, however you want to get your makeup on in a way that you are satisfied with it. Here at the Crazy Troll Nation, we stand for self-acceptance and self-love, embracing your natural features, enhancing them if you want to, when you want to, but never feeling like you have to. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on. I need to let you know, if you're new here, I do curse on my channel sometimes because I curse sometimes, period. So now you know. This video, I'm kind of excited for it. I hope you're not bored by it, because if you've been here, I know I just got loud, right? Because I've done my collection video, and so you've heard my thoughts on my palettes and everything, and so I'm kind of like, why do a ranking? Because y'all kind of know where I'm at, what my vibes are, what I like for me, and how I like my eyeshadow to look. But I said, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. And, you know, in true fashion, I did not put these in any type of order. So this is hard. We're going to put them in order right now. So, ooh, all right. So let me know while I'm getting this together. Here's something for you to think about. What? Oh, that's pretty. I forgot I did a thing, so I'm just like, ooh, damn, this is going to be hard. Shoot. Fuck. I'm cursing already, and I ain't even getting started good yet. Let me know if rankings are easy for you or not. That's the question that I would love for you to answer down below. Oh, this is pretty too. Damn it. That's gonna I'm looking at these, y'all, and I don't know. It's like, why did I not like get my head together before I started doing this? And so I'm looking at these two palettes. These are close. Can I tie all of them? No, I can't. Shoot, man, this is hard, because I like them all. I love her creamy matte. I love her cream to powder formula. This ain't right, y'all. Like, this order ain't feeling right. This order ain't feeling right. All right, here we go. Whew. So I have, these are my Natasha palettes. Some of them I have changed around, swapped out shades, you know, put from this palette to another palette. So this is what we got. Oh, you know what? Let me take my screenshot. I'm all crooked. My clothes are always crooked too. All right, let's try that again. Hopefully that was okay, because that's what we're going to stick with. So these are the Natasha palettes I have, and I have one Quint, the mini Xenon. I don't even know if we want to rank this one. Okay, so how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 Natasha palettes. When I don't care for a palette, I don't keep it. I declutter it, put it in my Mercari store, ask somebody if they want it that I know, or if it is within the window, I'll send it back. But I've gotten pretty good at being true to myself when I look at an eyeshadow palette and decide if I want to buy it or not. So I have gotten into switching some things around, which has helped a lot. Ooh, do I want to rank all of those? Yikes. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this one. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put this one at the bottom only because, so this will be number 9, is the mini Xenon. The only reason I love all of these palettes the way they are, meaning even the ones after I swapped out some shades. I'm only putting mini Xenon as number 9 because I only pull it if I want a black, or if I want to use this to blend out, or if I just want to amp up a look and just pop this on top of the center of my lid. That's the only reason why this is number 9, because I don't use this on its own. I did, I think, maybe 2 looks with this quint when I first bought it on its own, but since then it's just like, So if I just want, a single shade, I'll use this one. So that's the only reason it's number 9, is because I don't use this as a complete palette. Number 8 would be Star. This is the Star palette. I do like the looks that I did with it. 5 of these shades were in the Mini Star Quint, and I did a look with just those shades, and I really liked it. I did change quite a bit on this side of the palette. This is, I think, from Triochrome. Aside from this, was there something else we switched over here? I don't think so, but don't quote me. As far as I remember, this is the only shade we swapped out. We swapped out something else, because the Chroma Crystal shades, and I think this might have been a Chroma Crystal shade, number 1, they were messy, and number 2, they didn't show up on me. It just looked like a little bit of shine. So I'm like, okay, for the mess and just not to be a color and just be shine, I'm like, what is the point? And yes, the Chroma Crystals are more topper-esque type shades, but I want shadows to show up. I want to top as an option, not as a requirement to use a shadow. So that's just me. So this side, as I said, we changed quite a bit, and I actually like the way it is. And so if I were to do a look with this side, that's where this would come in to give me some depth, because I don't like light tone looks. But I do think this is cohesive enough to do a look. I do. And I do like how her shadows perform, except the Chroma Crystals, which surprisingly, one of these is a Chroma Crystal, and it shows up like really well, but the rest of them didn't. So I do like her metallics. I love her creamy matte formula. I love her cream to powder formula. And so to swap it out with other Natasha Denona shades in the formulas that I love, it was not an issue. But this is number 8 because this side I will not, this is not in my everyday wheelhouse. This side I would use more so than this side. And when I purchased it, I did look at it and I was like, I had a feeling I was going to swap out some of the shades on this side. And so it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't stand it. I knew what I was getting when I purchased it. And I really do like this palette, but it's number 8. So those 2 are done. Number 9, the Quint. Number 8 would be the Star palette. And only because that one side was not quite my vibe. And, I swapped it out with quite a few things. Number 7, this is hard. This is the Glam palette. I did swap out some shadows from other palettes. And so this is what my Glam looks like. And it's more suitable for me because it's more colorful, more of the shadows that will show up on my complexion, because it was Glam. And Glam seems to be associated with light ethereal with, a neutral lip. And I don't really, I do like light ethereal looks. And I do like monochromatic looks, but that's not where I live. That's where I go to visit. And this was a palette that was, okay, we're just going to visit. And my first look, this is upside down. I used all the top row and I think one of the shadows from the middle row. It was a very pretty look, but it was very monochromatic. And it showed me that a lot of those shades, they just blended into my complexion because they were like the light tans or the peachy tones. And it was just like, it's pretty, but that's not where I live. And so, but I swapped it out. I haven't used it, I don't think, since I swapped out some of the shades. But I do like it a lot better. But this is number 7 because I had to work it to get it to where it's more of what I would use. And surprisingly, I think, I want to say something in here is from, I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't know. But I didn't put a paper in here like I did for my new Xenon with what shades were from where. But some of these are from Retro Glam, which I completely just changed that. And thankfully, I found someone who actually wanted that. So that was their color story. And so I was excited because I do want things to have a happy home, and the formula is really good. So we had 9, 8, 7. So number 6, I call this my Natasha Denona Triochrome Quint palette. And I do have a paper in here of what is what. These 4 are from Triochrome, the actual Triochrome palette. These four are from the Alloy palette, I believe. These four are from the Ayana palette, unless I got it mixed up. These three are from the Fez palette, which was also a quint. So this is from a quint, these are from a quint, these are from a quint. So that's why I call this my Triochrome quint palette. And this is only number 7 because I put it together this way. If I had saw this somewhere, I probably would buy it because there is a lot of versatility in here, and it challenged me to not just be like, oh, I'll just use these shades and do a look, because that would have been just keep the quint. And so when I did use this palette, I made a point to hop around in the rows and columns, so I wasn't just using what the original quint was. And I really like the look that I did, but something has to be, you know, the number that this is, and that's why it is here. And so even though I really like it, and of course I love the formula, I had to work it to get it to where I liked it. And it was because the lighter tones in Triochrome, surprisingly, they did not make me look ashy or dusty, but they weren't tones I would normally use. And so that's what made it like, And the actual Triochrome shades in here, they irritated my lids. And so it's like, so I just have a palette full of light shadows that I won't really use. But I did like them, and I did end up putting some of them in other palettes because they were like nice shadows. And I think a couple of these in Star on this side are from the original Triochrome palette. So they were, I really loved them because they didn't make me look ashy or dusty. And I thought that they were. So whatever Natasha did, like, she did a good job. So 98765. Number 5 is Biba. And I'm second guessing it. I'm not going to switch. I want to switch it, but I'm not. Number 5 will be Biba. I'm going to switch it. Number 5 is going to be Leela. I do like the looks that I've done with this palette. This is my second time having Leela. The only reason this is number 5, as beautiful as it is because of the color story. If you're the matchy-matcher, you match your makeup to your clothes, you will be hard pressed to just get up and get dressed and then be like, oh, I'll pick up Leela, because then you look at your shirt and be like, that ain't gonna match. You know what I mean? Because this is a very particular color story, unless you just stick with like this column right here, or this shade with these two right here. So that's the only reason this is where it is. For me, I don't intentionally match my makeup to my clothes, and so I would just pick this up with, you know, a paisley shirt and put it on, or a green shirt and wear something from this palette. But that's the only reason where it is because I know that most people would be challenged to just be like, oh, I'll just put on Leela, because then they're like, okay, wait a minute, that none of those colors are in my shirt or my earrings or jewelry or whatever. So that's the only reason this is where it is. But I do really love this palette. I do have a playlist for each of these palettes if you want to see the looks that I've done. So the next one, 987654, is Biba. Biba is neutral. It says it. And I always say that because sometimes I have trouble with, is it cool tone, warm tone, neutral, blah, blah, blah. But it says neutral. So I'm like, yeah, I know this is a neutral color story because it says so. I really love this palette. I used it on its own for a long time. And people are like, oh, it's a great companion palette. And I'm like, what do you mean? But since the summertime, off and on, I have been pairing palettes. And I do understand the concept. But for me, when I get a palette, I'll be like, oh, I want to use Biba tomorrow. So I'll just pull it out, look at it, and be like, okay, we'll put this here. Da, 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 da. I don't plan ahead. I don't have a plan in my mind of what I want my eyeshadow look to look like. And that's what prevents me from just pulling different palettes and pulling different shadows. Because I'll just pick up a palette and then look at it and be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? So I had only used it on its own. And there's only three metallics in here. Everything else is creamy matte or cream to powder. This is a beautiful palette. If you're a neutral lover, if you're around my complexion, or you're lighter than I am, this to me is all the neutrals that I would want. And then you have a black up here if you want to deepen your outer corner, or if you don't want to do that, you can use it for lash line. But for me, this is everything I have. And looking at it, and I know I do this almost every time I talk about this palette, you can do these 4 as a quint, these 4 shades, excuse me, as a quad, because the quad is 4. These 4 shades can be a look. 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 These 4 shades could be a look. You see what I'm saying? And so you can use this palette on its own. And I think I even did looks by Rose. And it was a beautiful palette. It is a beautiful palette. And this is my second time having Biba. And so this is number 4 because if I just want a neutral look, or if I just want these tones, I can use it. And also it's good for pairing, but I don't rate palettes according to pairing them because I do tend to just look at a palette for what it is. And that's why the ones where I swapped out shades, that's why those place lower, because it wasn't how the palette was. My number 3 is Circle Loco, because this is just fun. And this is my second Circle Loco palette. This palette challenges me to come out of my comfort zone, do something different, try something new. And I love no, I'm lying. There were 2 looks I was like, I don't know. But other than those 2 looks, I like all the looks I've done with this palette. And I do like that it challenges me. My only pet peeve with this one, these two oranges barely show up on me. That's my only pet peeve. So it's like, why are y'all here? Because you're not serving a purpose. But other than that, I really do enjoy this palette. This is a beautiful palette. And it challenges me not to do monochromatic looks, which I don't prefer to do anyway. And so this, for me, is just a lot of fun to use because it excites me to look at and be like, okay, what can I do with this palette that I haven't done before? And I have a paper in here with other looks to do with this palette. I just need to roll back around to it. But yeah, so this is number 3 because it excites me. It's not just like, And if you're the type to have an idea in your mind of what you want to look like, look at all these colors. They're probably in here. Now, whether you want this formula or not, that's a different story. Or if you want high shine, wet look, shimmer, shimmer, you might want to go somewhere else and pull that in. But if you just want color and you want to experiment and try something new, it's right here. So that's number 3. My number 2, the Yucca palette, however you pronounce this palette. I love this palette because I like grungy looks. And this to me is swamp water. Even the cover, this is swamp water, that messy grunge. I love this palette. I'm thinking I did take something out. I don't think this is unique to this palette, original to this palette, this shade. So I don't know what I did with the one that was here. And it says Camu Camu, so I don't even remember what that shade looked like. What I will say, this one and this one, these are sparkling foiled shadows. And because the sparkling foiled effect is so shiny and so bright, for me, I don't really see the color. So you can look in here and tell these are, I stuck my finger in it. These are distinctly different. But when you put them on the lid, if you put this next to this one, it's going to look exactly the same. So just having that high shine, it diminishes to me the color of the actual shadow. But I don't mind having them in here because if I place them in different places, the looks will look different. But I did put them next to each other and they look the same. Or I did like one look with certain colors and the other look with other shadows that looking in the pan, they look similar. And the looks were similar, but if you put things in different places and you do different color combinations, then your looks will be different. And so I really do enjoy this palette. At first I thought this shade didn't go in here, but it does. This looks nice with the other stuff in here. So when I saw this, I knew I was getting it. So much so that I was going to pay full price. And my girl, Grace, was like, here's a code. I was like, thank you. So that saved me 15%. And now I also have a code and a link for 15% off for this. But this is number 2 because it excites me and it gives me that messy grunge that I like. Number 1, Xenon. And I'm talking Xenon before I mixed other shades in here. There's 4 shades in here that are not original to Xenon. This one, this one, this one, and this one are not original. But even before I switched it around, I did 5 looks with this palette and all the looks were distinct and different. So if you're hearing you can only get 2 looks out of this palette, no, you just got to do something different, come out of your comfort zone. Some of the looks I was just like, ooh, but some I was like, yeah. This is bomb. But this is number one because it excites me to come out of my comfort zone and to try something new and to see what else I can do different than what I've done before. Because sometimes we just get in a rut and we do the same color combinations, the same types of looks, the same eyeshadow shapes. You know, I do all of the above. I try, though, to make it a point to experiment. And there are sometimes I do, sometimes it turns out like, okay, you shouldn't have did that. Or you might want to tweak that next time, or don't ever do that shit again. And then there's other times the look comes out bomb. And I'm just like, either way, it's a learning lesson, experimenting with makeup. And so, but this is number one because it just excites me. It excites me to try something new and do something different. And having swapped out a few of the shades, that's exciting as well because it does give me more versatility. And so we're going to go backward. Okay, let me turn this pile upside down so we can do this more easily. Number 9, only because I use these as standalone shadows if I just want to pop or something. Number 8, the Star Palette. Because I but I decided to mix it up, particularly this side over here. And it's still not shades I would typically go for, but I will use, and I do like those shades. And number 7 is Glam, only because I did switch it around, but I did like it. I just would not have used it as much as I will now that I swapped out a few of the shades. And so that's where this is. And the next one, 987, number 6, my Trio Chrome Quint palette, only because it's made up of quints, except for these 4, which are original to Trio Chrome. So only because it's not in its original state. And if it was, it would probably be at the bottom because of all the lighter tones. But I knew what I was getting when I purchased it. Number 5 is Leela, only because I think most people would be challenged to just pick this up and use it because it seems most people do match their clothes to their makeup. And so this wouldn't be something that would just be picked up on a whim because it's not going to match the clothes. That's the only reason this is where it is. But it is a beautiful color story. The colors show up true to pan. It is a beautiful palette. I love all the looks I did with it. The next one is Biba. This has all the neutrals that I could want, and using it on its own is great. I don't think I've paired it yet. Have I paired it? I think I did pair this with something. And that look was really nice too. But this is, for me, a great standalone palette. And that's where it ranks where it is because I can't go wrong with these tones. It's just something with these tones. And maybe because I have some neutral in my undertone, like they just work. I can just pick it up any day and it'll work. Number 3 is Circle Loco because it excites me. Look at this color story. Need I say more? I've already said stuff earlier, and every time I show this palette or when I did my makeup collection video, you've heard me talk about it. Number 2, this palette gives me all the swamp water I could ever want. I just love it, and I love the formula. I don't even know what to say. Number 1, because it excites me. It takes me out of my comfort zone. It encourages me to try new things and to do something different, and that's why it's number 1, even before I swapped out a few of the shades. And so that's my ranking for my Natasha Denona palettes. Let me know what you think. Do we want to try to take another screenshot? Okay. Let me know what you think of my ranking. Let me know what you think of these palettes if you do have them in your collection. And that'll be it for this video. Thank you, and you will see me soon.